You believe that once some things are dug up from the earth, they can never be buried again. Today, I'm sharing a script my family kept for decades astray about a group of soldiers, an unmarked grave, and a corpse that never decayed. Back in my grandfather's day, when soldiers were stationed out in the wild, was it possible for them to run into evil spirits, or even zombies? I think so. Military campaigns often took soldiers across thousands of miles. What they saw and heard went far beyond an ordinary person's experience. My grandfather was a soldier early in his life, and later became a military commander. He passed away relatively young and didn't leave much behind for the family, except for one diary. According to my grandmother, he kept that diary with him from the time he first joined the army as a young man, all the way until his death. The pages and handwriting inside were almost entirely intact. When I was a kid, I always wondered, why did grandfather treasure this one diary so much? It was until it grew up and could read it for myself that easily understood. Most of it was about his marches and routines. Nothing unusual, but one entry told actually supernatural story from when he was stationed during a campaign in North China. His unit was in direct combat at the time. They were ordered to hold a position in a mountainous area. All around them were neglected burial grounds, but they were soldiers. What was there to fear? They went ahead digging trenches and building fortifications. It was during the digging that they uncovered unmarked graves. Usually, only those deeply hated in life were buried, without a stone. Some of the men said it was bad luck, since they could easily dig around it. They decided to leave it undisturbed, but not long after the fortifications were complete, strange things began to happen. Almost every night, the men on watch heard what sounded like a cat's cry, but different, more like a weeping howl, eerie and terrifying. Some soldiers also heard digging sounds late in the night. Then, within days, one of the soldiers fell ill feverish, drifting in and out of consciousness. At first, no one thought much of it. In wartime, a fever was something to fuss over. But then, he died within a few days. His comrades buried him hastily nearby. Time went on. Then, another soldier fell sick with fever. Rumors about ghosts and demons began spreading through the unit. My grandfather, skeptical, decided to question those spreading the stories to keep morale from breaking. The men swore what they were saying was true. Not only were there frightening cries from the graves at night, but they also found strange claw marks on the walls of the trenches. But the most chilling account came from two soldiers on night watch. One had a nightmare about the soldier who had recently died, standing in the trench, weeping, covered in blood, barely recognizable. He woke up, terrified, and woke his comrade. They talked for a bit, calming each other down, deciding it was just a bad dream. But when one stepped out to relieve himself, he saw a figure standing in the tall grass some distance away, motioning to him, calling his name. He couldn't make out the face, but the build and the voice, it was unmistakably their dead comrade, and the figure was standing right next to that unmarked grave. Even with these rumors swirling, my grandfather remained doubtful. He thought the new recruits, who hadn't seen real combat, were just scaring themselves. Then the second soldier died of fever. The real terror was only beginning. One night, a group of soldiers went to the supply depot, a dug-out cellar. As they approached the entrance, they could see things had been thrown around inside. It was dark, but they could see a pair of glowing eyes deep in the cellar, fierce, like an animal's, shining bright. My grandfather arrived, thinking it might be a wild animal. He ordered some men to go in with torches, but as they moved closer, the thing moved back, and a foul, rotting smell filled the air. It retreated all the way to the back wall, and then before anyone could see it clearly, it just vanished. There was only one entrance. For it to disappear like that, it couldn't have been any normal creature. Now, even my grandfather believed. He immediately ordered the unmarked grave to be dug up. When they opened it, everyone was horrified. Inside was a corpse that hadn't decayed at all, its face bluish, with long fangs, almost exactly like a Jiangshi, the hopping vampire from movies. And beside it were two other skeletal remains. Someone thought of the two soldiers who had died. They checked their graves. The earth had been dug up. The bodies were gone. My grandfather realized then Those men had T just died of fever. They'd been taken by something evil from that burial ground. At this point in the diary, a page is missing. How they ultimately dealt with the body was written down. Rumor was, they reported it to high command, and everyone was ordered to keep it secret to avoid panic. But it didn't end there. Afterward, more men in the unit fell ill, some with strokes, some with high fevers. No one else died, but something was very wrong. They later learned the entire area had dangerously negative feng shui cursed earth, and it was key home to just that one creature. Eventually, high command brought in audit of battle. Hardened veteran men who had seen heavy combat. The idea was that their fierce energy would suppress the dark forces there, and strangely, after they arrived, the strange occurrences stopped. Not long after, the unit received transfer orders and left that place for good. And that diary, with its one missing page, became a hidden story in our family, one nobody dared look into too deeply.